Hello there, many thanks for joining us here on Razep Africa. Once again, it's so beautiful to be back. But as usual, we keep you abreast with what's going on across Africa. Like my father would say, so that people will not run and leave you. I'm not alone here in the studio, as usual. Okay, so he's a naughty co-host of mine. Yeah. As usual, I have Aniete Unyime right here.
Right, so we're back to that Aniete Unyime.
Well, Aniete Unyime.
It's Aniete for the records, and I'm very glad to have you back. Joy, you're looking very spectacular.
Exactly. I was away from your stress.
Yes.
I was away from Nigeria's stress, basically, but it's good to be back, and I'm ready for what you've got next.
You're ready for a whole lot. Well, let me first and foremost welcome all of you to Razep Africa Show, Razep Media on Global TV. We're here to give everything, but beginning first with Africa, and then we'll come back to Nigeria, where we're based. Of course, this is the city of Abuja, and maybe somehow we'll also take you outside the country, the shores of Africa. And that is where Jo will have to come in, because she'll have to tell us a whole lot of what she did.
And with me, there are no maybes, there are no somehows. It is what it is. We're going to go give you the African news update.
Let's get to first and foremost before we go for African news update. What you actually brought in, it could be edibles, it could be ideas.
Yes, I came with the ideas. I didn't come with edibles, I didn't come with anything tangible, but I sure did come with a wealth of experience.
Right.
We cannot put too much to that. I mean, you can't hold on to a wealth of experience.
We'll look for a way to tweak it, because Symbiat, I know, who's actually the other way,
right.
We want to get a whole lot of these ideas. We talked about it sometime on here.
Oh, really?
Sometime last week. Yeah.
You did miss me. Sure, but it's good to know you missed me. So back to business. We have the African news updates for you, as we always do, just to keep you abreast with what's going on. We would analyze those stories, but in between, we would also have the agriculture for today and tomorrow program. As you already know, today is Monday, so you had to expect updates in the agricultural sector, how you too can be abreast with innovations, and how to be part of this sector that literally keeps us alive. We'll go for a short break. When we return, it will be time for the African news updates and analysis. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that she faces with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, voices that live the African experience, voices that are Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that. Now we begin in Nigeria, where the federal government has launched the Nigeria Diaspora Health Program to strengthen the country's healthcare system by harnessing the expertise of Nigerian medical professionals living abroad. Now, health authorities say the initiative will create structured opportunities for diaspora doctors to provide medical services, training, and mentorship, while ensuring they are properly registered with the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Officials say the program, backed by the World Health Organization and federal tertiary hospitals, is expected to improve specialist care, strengthen the health workforce, and expand access to quality health care across the country. Okay, so this right here is something I really appreciate, because I attended an event, the unveiling of this collaboration between healthcare practitioners abroad and how it can be married into diaspora support and value. I'm welcoming it, because we've had this conversation on air here where we talked about why are we so concerned about the brain drain, when we could tap into that brain drain in some way, be innovative about it, and still provide capacity, value for Nigerians. We cannot underestimate the expertise that these diasporans, African diasporans, often go get in these countries. There are innovations that African governments and Africans have not invested in, that these doctors are often exposed to. So yes, I welcome this initiative. We would have quality healthcare, and there is no barrier to per se with technology. And I think African countries should embrace this initiative to see that there is a cross-border arrangement where you don't have to leave Nigeria to get the kind of quality healthcare you hope to get. The doctors there would also treat you from diaspora. We've had a lot of concerns as well in the health sector, and that's why our they call it the halves, and some of us are the have-nots. The halves would always leave the continent for better health services. So it's a welcome development.
Yeah, for me, I think it is actually a welcome development. We'll be having this in its right perspective, talking about the healthcare, and I don't know, but I'm hoping that this comes to fruition, where we would have not just on paper, not just audio, but we'll have it on ground. You know, a lot of times we get to hear things like this come up, and only at the end of the day we'll see it on papers and we'll not see it in reality. I take a very quick lead to what we have somewhere in this country. I don't want to mention the state now. We've had them talk about something they call the doctor's mess, and it is supposed to be raised, a structure is supposed to be raised somewhere so that from time to time doctors could actually go back, sit back, relax, have their own time. But I tell you the truth, over the years, that space has just been there. It is just a site. We have not seen the reality of that place till today. And
was it supposed to be a national program, or a certain hospital had a lounge of some
state? Yes. Okay. So
I mean, that shouldn't be a tough one. And moreover, I don't want to see I don't picture my doctors chilling, if you know what I mean. I don't picture doctors. I like to see you just as serious as you are. Yeah, I like to see you addressing serious issues.
I like them.
I don't
sometimes.
like to even imagine that
it is supposed to be calm.
They lounge around. No, thank you.
Let them.
As from the hospital, they go home.
No. Let them. It is very important. However,
but speaking about this,
yeah. So
I would commend NIDCOM, because this is something they've been doing over and over. I see that NIDCOM is also trying to get a database of all diasporans,
right.
So that it could be seamless. You want to do investment, you could. It's even a platform that was launched also, NIDCOM. By the way, I report for NIDCOM, so I'm excited to talk about their initiatives, and I must commend what they've been doing. So this, apart from the healthcare, that database that has the number of diasporans, where you live, how you understand, like it has everybody in it. I remember we hosted the NIDCOM communication person here, and I asked if it has been tough to get Nigerians identify with NIDCOM when they leave the continent, and that's one thing I foresee as a challenge here. Because you can't force everybody to give back to the continent. Right. When they leave this continent and they are hustling, it's not as easy. And that's why. So you can't force them. So it's good to identify with professionals abroad. However, how do you reach them to be available enough to offer these services? And that's why
my concern really is the reality of this. It is not just the talk. Right. It is the do. So in Nigeria we have the talk and not do, and that's why you quickly brought in the whole haves and not haves.
Or rather politically exposed,
exactly.
or the 1%. At the end of the day, but this is where we go for a break. Like I told you earlier, we would be having agriculture for today and tomorrow. We'll go for a short break now, and then usher in Daniel Black. So we usher in Daniel Black with agriculture for today and tomorrow. After which we return to give you more analysis and more stories coming from Africa. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions, from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of waste less and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains 5 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube livestream GSA initiative. Agriculture creates greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions, from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube livestream GSA initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow TV show. Here we explore innovative ideas, practical solutions, and transformative conversations shaping the future of agriculture in Nigeria and across Africa. And as always, this is a TV show. This TV show is a media for agricultural development project of Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. And I remain Daniel Black, your host for the show, which you can always watch and drop your comment on all our social media handles, and always rewatch our episodes on YouTube, which is at GSA Initiative. Today we will continue from our last episode and dissect the impact of President Tinubu's agricultural programs on Nigeria's economy. And of course, our guest, as usual, he remains Mr. Ushe Dominos, who is the MD, Ushang Agro Limited, and member Grassroots Advocacy for Tinubu 2027. Mr. Ushe, welcome once again.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. You see, in our last conversation, we talked about the different, or you spotlighted three programs of President Tinubu, yeah. And we didn't have time to talk about the impact it has had. In fact, you tried. I remember telling us that maize is now 250 naira
yes.
a mudu,
yes.
And we were trying to understand to whose benefit, to the farmers' benefit or to the consumers' benefit, as if farmers are not part of the Nigerian economy. So today, I just want to give you a free hand within our time frame to be able to tell us these programs you spotlighted and others that you were yet to spotlight. I need you to give us practical example of how the Nigerian economy, all sphere, has benefited from these agricultural programs.
All right, let me pick it up from where we stopped, like he rightly said. The direct impact, you ask, is it beneficial to the farmer or the Nigerian people? You know, in the time past, Nigerian farmers mortgaged their comfort for the cheap price of food that an average Nigerian has in the market. So in a bid to stop that, what the president did was to introduce the free distribution of input. It can be interesting to know that the CBN has distributed about 2.1 million bags of fertilizer for farmers, local farmers, 2.1 million bags of fertilizer. Now, before, the farmers will have to buy this. Now, one of the things that people don't know, let me draw their attention, is that you can't just get that input as a person only, independently. That is why there's a need for you to join one of the farmers association in your location. There are different type of farmers association. There's a maize farmers association, sorghum farmers association. There are all major production crop that we have and animal. They have an association. So most of these input are distributed through the organized association. So some persons say, I don't know, a few days ago somebody called me that there's a free fertilizer distribution. Yes, I said, okay, you have to be a member of a particular group where your area of farming is for you to be able to access this input. Now, how does this affect the farmers? Before, the farmer have to pay for all this thing. They have to buy the fertilizer. A bag of fertilizer a few years ago was around 55 to 60,000. A bag of NKP fertilizer. Now you are giving this fertilizer for free. You have been giving seed for free from the federal government. You are giving herbicide. So literally all the cost of input that you're supposed to use to farm has been provided. All you need to do now is to farm. Now, why did the maize become cheap at some point? When they hit, because there was this system that Nigeria do in the past, they hoard the grains so that when there is scarcity, then they will now sell for higher input. Nobody's doing that today again. Do you know why? When the president discovered that Nigerians are using this system to hoard grain just to make excess money at the expense of an ordinary Nigerian who buys from the market, what did he do? He granted a 150 days waiver on duty-free on all agricultural input. That is why you see that the price of grains dropped. Now, the negative effect is for people who hoard the grains to make money. Now, they had no choice than to release the grains. Now, that has been done. The planting season last year have passed. They have harvested. Now, this year's harvesting season is here already. Now, you see that the price of grain will continue to drop. I told you that a mudu of maize is 250 naira is true. Because a bag is 21,500. You can go to Beans Market or one of these
Mr. Ushe, I really wanted to give you time to elaborate on this.
Yes.
I need us to understand that when we say the Nigerian economy, we are talking about the farmers, we are talking about the non-political farmers, the non-PVC farmers. Now, when you say farmers have been given free fertilizers and free inputs, how many farmers have actually benefited? How many farmers are card carrying members? So my question to you would be, how many non-card carrying members, non-APC card carrying members have also benefited from it? Because when government begins to subsidize farm production for a certain group of farmers, then the other group of farmers will suffer, because when the price comes, like you said, maize is 250 naira a mudu now. There are farmers that produce at way above that price. What now happens to them? They now lose? Are they not part of the economy?
Now, there's something you didn't get. The input is not for APC members. No, it's for Nigerians. It may interest you to know that there's a partnership between the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and National ID Card Management Board, where farmers are supposed to register. They link their business or their farm to their NIN. So the the system has a database of how many farmers Nigerians have who are real serious farmers, not people who politically post that they are farmers to get those input and go and resell it to the real farmers.
So you're an APC member?
No, it's not a party thing, it's a Nigerian thing.
You will get it.
So guard members didn't get input because they are guard members. They got input because they are farmers and they registered and they follow. They have an association. They have maize farmers association, sorghum farmers association, many associations. There is poultry farmers association. Every crop, every group has different. So these input are channeled towards the associations, the farmers, there's Moringa Farmers Association, there are so many associations.
I think on this show, we'll take it as a point of duty to invite representatives of these different associations.
Yes, please.
How much they have benefited from this input distribution that you have mentioned. So please, pending that, because I do not represent any of the associations.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So pending that, let's proceed and see, and also gauge the benefits other programs have also brought into the economy.
Okay. Now, apart from the distribution, we talked about the Ministry of Livestock that was introduced last time.
Yes.
The Ministry of Livestock was introduced so that a very robust attention will be paid to our grazing system. We have been operating in the nomadic system that have lasted for as long as mankind. That is not sustainable in the today Nigeria. Now, the grazing system will be abolished by a ranching system. Many states have allocated lands for ranch, and construction is on the way. Now, after a few months, when those construction are completed, they will be given to all headers to move to certain locations as they desire, and there will be a database for all grazers.
I think I have a lot of work to do, because I am not aware of this particular where ranches are built in different states, and then there's that room, because I'm only aware that sometime, I think in President the late Musa Yar'Adua, there was a project called Buga which died on inception, and I'm not aware of any advancement of that project. So I don't know if you would like to reference which project you're talking about that where ranches are being built.
Niger State, Kano State, Kaduna State, most of these states have given large hectares of land that is under development and currently to build ranch with all the system in place. Water system, veterinary structure.
Do we have now? So, to the extent of your knowledge, have these ranchers accepted that they will move there and they will work there?
Now, it's not the issue of whether you accept or not. That's number one. Get me right first. There's nobody who wants to be walking up and down in the bush. The headers, you think they like it that they move up and down?
I think they do.
No, they don't. It's because they don't have a better option. That is why they move around. There is no normal human being who want to be moving around aimlessly from bush to bush, because no, he wants a confidence. The headers want to go to school too. They want a group.
I think we live in different realities. Because we have. I also have had news of situations where herders are being given a particular location and they refuse. They want to move around because of ease of finding feed. They want to move around because they can easily go into farms and get feed and feed their crops.
You made a statement. You made a statement that the ease of finding. You cannot just go and give a header.
Even at the detriment of other farmers.
No, you can. You say you give them. They want to find feed. Okay. Like you mentioned, you can't just go and give a header a big empty land that has no good pasture for them for their animals to graze on. No.
Well, let me add, because you brought this up.
Yes.
Is it the responsibility of government, just like a poultry farmer would go and find a place, set up his cage and all, is it the responsibility of government to start finding where feed should be done for cattle, to start providing infrastructure for these people? Will government extend the same provisions for other agricultural value chains? Will they now start providing poultry pens, start providing goat pens, and all of the likes?
Now, when we started, we talk about distribution of input materials. The government has been doing that input distribution, fertilizer, seeds, knapsack sprayer.
So this is their own equivalent.
So this, yes. Now they are different like that in all sectors. Now, one of the things I need to draw your attention is one of the major issues we are having as a nation was the issue of farmers' headers clashes. And it's the duty of government to find a lasting solution to this kind of challenge. And the government understood that one of the reasons that this problem persists is because in the olden time we had grazing reserves, we had grazing routes and so many things. But because of population, people have expanded, urbanization, all these reserves has already become residential areas and all that. So the government had to look for another structure to provide these facilities for the headers. Now, let's say there's a ranch now.
Yes.
What the government will do is to provide all the necessary infrastructure for them, and then the place will be allocated to all headers. Now, mind you don't just give a header a very big empty land. No, there have to be a provision for pasture, and there should be an irrigation system, because the cow will not eat in the rainy season alone. They have to eat during dry season. So there should be a provision for irrigation system. Dams need to be constructed. Good irrigation system need to be on ground, and these things need to be managed. So there should be a system, because remember, these people will pay tax at the end of the day, and now you cannot pay tax to a government who does not provide you an enabling environment to do a business that strive that you be taxed upon.
I am waiting to live in that society where you live in.
Of course, that will be a reality in a couple of months. Yes.
Have this beautiful synergy between
it will.
and headers.
It will.
But let us, we are rounding up right now. We're in the last lap of this conversation.
Yep.
So could you just maybe finalize on another impact that you believe? You've mentioned that of the livestock, you've mentioned that of input, which has led to reduced costs. So can you just maybe one or more, two more impacts that the government has?
Currently, I'll use Lagos State example, like for the Lagos State, for example. Because I don't know if you have heard about the Agricultural Development Fund.
Yes.
Yes. You know that the Nigerian agricultural budget for agriculture has been increased from 222 billion to 822 billion as of 2025. That's almost times 4. Why? Because the president is very interested. Now, what the president is targeting is not food security. I know most of you think food security is a very sweet thing. No. What the president is targeting is what we know as food sovereignty. Food security means there's food, but you are not, you don't have a control over the food. Maybe somebody supply you the food. But food sovereignty, you have sufficient control of the food yourself.
Is this your own idea or that of the president?
No,
because all president directives have not seen food sovereignty as part of
it. Yeah, because
it is a new global trend. Is it a new global direction for food systems?
If you go to Europe, you will not see ministry of, or you don't see anything about food security in Europe. What you're going to see is food sovereignty.
If you come to Nigeria, what you see is
you hear food security. Thank you.
So I'm saying, are you indirectly advising the president, because you said the president now is focusing on food sovereignty?
No.
Which we have not seen.
One of the things the president is doing is to take us to that level, not to keep us at the security level where food will be well provided. The president wants, in a few couple of years, Nigeria will stop importing food. Nigeria will be self-sufficient, that will produce enough food to import.
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Yes.
We just have very short time on this show, but thank you so much for expatiating on those impacts that President Tinubu's agricultural programs have had on the country.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd really, really love to see these impacts come to fruition and begin to be tangible for even everyday common man to be able to participate in it. Thank you for always sharing your perspective on this important topic. And as always, the future of Nigerian agriculture depends on effective policies, strong institutions, private sector investment, and the resilience of innovative solutions. So this is agriculture for today and tomorrow, and that is all we'll be able to take for today. Remember, this is a Media for Agricultural Development project of GSAI, and you can drop your comments, follow us, and ask questions on our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and even Instagram at GSA Initiative. That will be all for today. See you in the next episode.
In the heart of our field lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions from the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe. Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 11:15 a.m. Mondays and Fridays on Global TV, Channel 365 DSTV, StarTime Channel 276, or YouTube livestream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that. Again, it's wonderful to return discussing Africa. Back to discussing Africa. I hope you enjoyed that segment of the agriculture for today and tomorrow. Unyime is right here with me. Anyete Unyime?
Right.
Yeah. First, let's go to West Africa, where regional leaders have approved the long-awaited Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project, marking a major milestone in Africa's energy integration agenda. The agreement was endorsed during the ECOWAS summit in Sierra Leone and will see the nearly 6,000-kilometer pipeline transport Nigerian natural gas through 13 West African countries before linking with Morocco and Europe. Officials say the project would expand energy access, strengthen regional economic integration, and create a new development corridor across West Africa and the Sahel. Yet, this is yet another very good news, but still talking about and regional integration, neighboring Niger has officially launched the Alliance of Sahel States Biometric Passport. President Abdourahmane Tiani became the first recipient of the new travel document, which is designed to enhance security and facilitate the free movement of citizens across Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The passport forms part of broader efforts by the Alliance of Sahel States to build common institutions following the three countries with very interesting one right there. What ECOWAS cannot do, I mean, we all have an ECOWAS passport, right? Yeah. However, it has not given us that kind of access and freedom of movement that you would expect. But this is good to see that the Sahel states are coming together to have themselves, this biometric passport that allows them unfettered access to each country. Not saying that this would enhance movement in business and services as well. Every day seems like moving farther away from ECOWAS, which for some of us is quite disheartening. But I'm just hoping that there will come a time when we'll be one ECOWAS or one African Union once again. And I think it behoves on ECOWAS, because when you listen to these Sahel countries, the Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali, their biggest argument has always been that ECOWAS did not support the coup that happened. ECOWAS rather would support a bad democratic government instead of a coup that has promised. Moreover, who sets the standard for this? But you must remember that ECOWAS is based on established laws of democracy. So you can understand why ECOWAS cannot stand for anything that differs from that. So we don't want our brothers to leave us. We don't want them to be doing their things. We are better together. However, we also support them thriving, and this right here is something one should applaud and commend.
Yeah, Joy, I think yes, first and foremost I would applaud and commend them. Once again, we're talking about the same, having African countries come together, become one strong, where I'll need to walk into an African country and wouldn't need to do the whole lot of signings, paper stampings, even though I'll have to do that for record's sake. But let it not be that if probably it doesn't go the way of maybe a particular border and I am not of that country, I'll be sent, right back. Yes, commendable efforts of ECOWAS there, and I hope that we'll be able to get this done, perfectly. But of course, earlier on we stayed in West Africa where we talked about regional leaders having approved the long-awaited Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project. And first and foremost, I had to look at the major concerns that has to do with the whole pipeline issue that has been raised, and I realized that it is 6,000 kilometer pipeline transport from the Nigerian natural gas through 13 West African countries. And I quickly had to check which of these West African countries are in this. And maybe the other part of the question would be what is in these for Nigeria. So quickly, it will pass through Benin, and that will be the starting point into Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia. We have Sierra Leone, and then we also have Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Senegal, Mauritania, and then Morocco, where that will be more like the final stop before it will now go into Europe, and we'll be talking about Spain. And when I realized that all of these countries will have to benefit from that, I was now asking if we now probably, at the end of the day, get into Spain, what will be in it for Nigeria? And I hope that it will get to that time where when we can achieve this, Nigeria would say, as far as it has to do with natural gas, leave it for us. And then hope that we'll be able to grow in this particular sector, more like other European countries who come to us for this natural gas, and maybe we can, raise revenue from here that will be used for the benefit of the country. So, for me, I think this is again a good one for us.
Absolutely.
Helping us to be able to, explore. Once again, this is for me the idea of Nigeria being the giant of Africa. I think we are proving. We are proving it here in gas exploration.
That's wonderful.
It's a great one.
It links up to other parts of the...
Yeah, again, ECOWAS actually had to, come up to put this up. He started with saying that regional leaders, and again, I had to look up for who were the regional leaders that were actually, seated when all of these were going on. And I realized that the president of the country, Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu was there, and then the president of Ghana, John Mahama was there. We had the president of Senegal there seated. I'm talking about Bassirou Faye. We had the president of Cote d'Ivoire also around Ouattara, and then we had that of Mali, Goita, in that meeting. Burkina Faso had the Captain Ibrahim Traoré attend that meeting, and then Niger also had their own Tijani, join in that whole plan to have that pass. So if 13 African countries, West African countries, will have this, and then it will now end up in Morocco, move from there to Spain, where it will start from for the European countries, because you never can tell how many other European countries will want to connect to that. Because I feel the European countries actually need or use gas even more than we do.
Exactly.
So if it links 13 African countries into the European countries, starting with Spain, I think there's a whole lot for Nigeria, and I hope that we'll be able to use this for the betterment of the country.
Absolutely, and it's one to be applauded, like I said earlier. But we're turning now to Central Africa, where Cameroon has launched a major tax recovery operation targeting its gold mining industry. Authorities say the exercise aims to recover unpaid tax and customs revenue linked to the production of about 17 tons of gold, while improving monitoring, traceability, and transparency across the sector. The government says the crackdown is intended to close revenue leakages and increase the mining sector's contribution to national economic development. That's yet, I think we're having a lot of good news right coming out of Africa today, because we've always talked about how bad our tax regulation in Africa is. There's absolutely, it goes without saying that there's poverty, so you don't want to overtax, but there are sectors that has to be taxed so that the government can sufficiently benefit from those sectors. And this is very important one, where about 17 tons of gold is linked into revenue that, of course, if you don't put your head down, you would never recover. We move on now to West Africa.
Just before you move on, Joy, I have two structural thoughts, maybe critics about this particular one, where we talk about the gold mining industry in Cameroon. First and foremost, I'd love to maybe later on make findings on who exactly are those who actually explore more this gold. You know, when we talk about the gold mining and its usage and where it goes to.
You know, unfortunately in Africa, when we talk about exploration, it has been artisanal miners that have been doing that job. And of course, it's very illegal, because these are individuals who are unable to properly do environmental assessments.
Right.
So they finish and leave an environment that often is more porous to environmental activities. It makes room for flood, it makes room for landslides and all of that. We also have several issues of proper compensation to host communities.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of things.
These are the reasons I think
exactly. So
this
gives it a better structure as to, well, who is mining and for what? How can you get a mining license? Let government even know that you have this mining license, so that they can hold somebody accountable for the environmental degradation that is often left aside.
Exactly. So that's why I said I had two of them.
I mean,
this
is the same conversation we had when we were discussing how the African gold ends up in Dubai, for instance, and Africa does not necessarily have the compensation for it. It's bought really cheap here, and then it goes global, and it's, well,
so
we move on, because unfortunately we don't have a lot of time today. It's Friday, and we had the agriculture for today and tomorrow. So now we go elsewhere in Africa, in West Africa rather, where political attention is focused on Senegal, where President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has held talks with former President Macky Sall during his first visit home since leaving office. Sall briefed President Faye on his campaign to become the next United Nations Secretary General and sought Senegal's support for his candidacy. The meeting, however, has generated political debate, with critics accusing the former president of failing to account for alleged abuse during his administration. While some government allies openly, of course, protested at that visit. Senegal has been in the news for a couple of days now. Apart from the internal political tensions that are rising in Senegal, we have the youngest president. In Senegal. But moving away from that, I often would. I'm very African, so I often would argue with those against his emergence, because of his what is often characterized as not have done so well as president. Of course, there's always going to be issues, but my biggest challenge is here we have a potential next president, or rather next United Nations General Secretary. And the opposition is not coming from Europe, it's not coming from the Americas, it's not coming from Asia. Once again, the Secretary General of the UN could possibly be African, but the opposition is coming from within. So that often is my problem. It's almost as if we are our own problem. We're not ready to thrive. We're not ready. So we clip the wings of our own people. We keep talking about how Africa does not have a seat in the United Nations Security Council. Here's an opportunity to actually have a Secretary General that is of African descent. And we would always have the arguments that, oh, he did not openly do this, he did not openly protest his abuses, he did not. There are a lot of things as president you would leave and not necessarily address. If that is going to determine your moving forward, is unfortunate. But here we have a potential next secretary who's coming home to his country, Senegal, for support.
But can I just oppose that thought of yours for a moment? You know, for me, I think accountability in governance is very key. It's very important.
And other secretary generals have been of clean slate.
No, Joy. In as much as they have not been of clean slates, would not continue like that. You know, I'm not saying that we cannot give him the opportunity to go and even do better. You know, for the sake of Africa and for the growth of the UN. Because
so
I believe that Africans are always almost striving for perfection when they get into offices.
No, they are not.
However,
they are not.
No,
I do not agree with you.
This is my
because
thought.
Because when we have these leaders. When we have these leaders, you would expect that Africans would do more in expecting perfection. I'm not even asking, far-fetched from perfection. Expect dividends of democracy to be given, but we don't see that.
Okay, so Joy,
we are quick to stifle. And remember the case of Goodluck Jonathan. During his administration, there were legitimate issues that were not handled properly and were not handled well.
Right.
Those issues are still lurking on us till today. However, when he was getting global attention, which by the way I accept and I agree and I applaud for, Africans were like, oh yeah, go. But come on, he also had a lot of things as president he could have addressed.
So for me, I'm saying, Joy, I'm saying that he had what they called alleged abuses of office during his administration. And I mean, it wouldn't be wrong if maybe he takes out his time to go and say, these were the things I had done, and maybe try to see how to clear his name from this before, proceeding for the office of the Secretary General.
Okay.
However, Joy, to be very, so that I can probably land well, for me, I think it is time we looked at, taking over some very vital offices to see how this can actually change Africa. If at all, those in those offices will help us to have those changes.
Okay. Security concerns also remain high across the region, with the United Nations warning that terrorist groups in West Africa and the Sahel are becoming increasingly sophisticated. Briefing the UN Security Council, Special Representative Leonardo Simao said extremist groups are now using drones, encrypted communications, and cryptocurrencies while strengthening links with organized crime. The UN says military action alone would not solve the crisis and is urging greater regional cooperation alongside investment in governance, education, jobs, and humanitarian assistance. Now, finally, health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo are battling a worsening Ebola outbreak that has now claimed at least 930 lives. The Ministry of Health says more than 2,300 confirmed infections have been recorded. with dozens of new deaths reported within just 24 hours. The World Health Organization warns that most new infections are emerging from unknown transmission chains, while insecurity and attacks on health workers continue to hamper response effort in the country's eastern provinces.
Joy.
Well, unfortunately, we're really running out of time, but it's unfortunate
just
that
to chip
health
in a
workers,
little bit.
okay?
Unfortunately, we are seeing 930 today. I don't know how many we'll see tomorrow, because as of last Friday, when we sat to talk about this, we had 700. And today we are talking about 930.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that we'll look forward to fighting and battling these to a standstill
And
before more lives are
that's where I
claimed.
was going, because most disheartening is also the fact that health workers are being attacked as well.
Yes.
There are several factors that are mitigating the ability of the country to contact trace, and follow the guidelines as it's supposed to be. It's quite unfortunate.
I didn't want to talk about the 300 that's added to the 2,000 as at Friday. So confirmed cases as at Friday was 2,000. Now we're having 2,300.
Very
quite
unfortunate. Very unfortunate, because this is a course of 3 days,
Yeah.
4 days. No, not 4 days,
No,
just 3
4 days,
days.
just
Yeah.
3 days,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, and today's
Today we are
Monday.
talking about this.
Very unfortunate, but this is where we end today's edition of Razep Africa. It's always wonderful to be here to have these conversations. I am Joy Asoyen.
And I was very glad to be here too. We'll come back here tomorrow. I am Uime, and yet do have a wonderful week.